Hello and welcome to another video, and this is Synchronicity, Kim here, and today's video is going to cover the topic of forgiveness, and it's basically going to be 5 tips. I'm going to take you through 5 stages, and I'm going to take you through that are part of forgiveness, so that you can use these as a type of therapy for you. And of course, my style is always ASMR because I like to provide these videos as a form of relaxation, something that you can listen to just in the background. Don't necessarily have to be very specific with what listen very specifically to what I'm saying, but of course, if you want to and you want to make notes and you want to really set aside some time to meditate with this video, please do. If not, just listening to it in the background is fine too. So, I've come up with these 5 stages of forgiveness based on a concept developed by Elizabeth Ross, I believe, and she talks about the 5 stages of grief. So I've used a couple of those stages for this forgiveness, and I've swapped out a couple other stages for something else that has come my way. And one of the things that I will say is that me personally, Kim, in my real world, still learning to forgive. It can be for something long ago, from someone that I've known all my life, that I'm still working on, and it can also be these little macro moments that I have during the day that somebody does something that either triggers me or bothers me in some way, that I'm still learning how to forgive all day, every day, really. I think forgiveness goes into many different areas of our life, that if we can master it by the end of this, not by the end of this video, but if we can know how to master it by the end of this video, we have what we need, and the rest is just time. So number 1, the first stage of forgiveness is again similar to the first stage of grief, which is denial. So what I mean by denial when it comes to forgiveness is that you may be in denial that you, for a while, for a time, that you even need to forgive this person. You've already forgiven this person, and you find it easy to forgive. I'm not saying those things, if you've ever said them or felt them or thought them, are wrong, or that they're you denying something. It might not be. You might genuinely not need to forgive that person. You might genuinely have already forgiven that person. But one of the things that I found is that I've said those things, and then later on, I don't know, years later, months later, whatever, I hadn't forgiven them. And I guess the way that we figure out if we're in denial, again, is kind of time. Because I think when we say it, we think we mean it. But going back to what I said in my previous video about shame, some of these feelings that we have surrounding the need to forgive someone can go layers deep. So that means that we may think we've forgiven someone, but we haven't actually uncovered all of the emotions and all of the things, the memories that surround that person. So that's why it's the first stage, because you kind of don't really even know that you're needing to forgive, right? Maybe you have an inkling though, and that's what that is, denial. The first stage. So, number 2, the second stage, is anger. Again, similar to the grief stage. Forgiveness when you've understood that you're no longer in denial, you need to forgive someone. And the word need implies that you need to do something, but I'm actually using the word need to be very loose here. You don't have to forgive if you have some reasons not to, okay? So there's not a need, actually. All I'll say is that there's a choice, right, to forgive or not. But number 2 is anger. So you may decide that either you do or you don't want to forgive that person. Either way, you can have anger. And one thing I will say is that if you decide that you do want to forgive that person, that anger is actually that anger will eventually fade. However, you have to do the work to get there. And one of the things I'll say about not choosing to forgive someone is that we'll probably always hold a grudge. And the trouble with holding a grudge is the anger sticks with us. We are kind of chained to that person through anger. And you may be able to forgive that person and forget them. That's an alternative. Or vice versa, you may be able to forget and forgive. Gets confusing though, so I just think that if you stay at this second stage for a long time, it's okay. If you have anger, it's okay. Just know that eventually you might want to move on to the third stage. And if you don't, it's okay. Yeah. So, number 3, this third stage, takes a strong person. Number 3 is different actually to grief. It's I think the third stage in the grief stage might be something like bargaining. Anyway, the stage I've chosen for forgiveness is stage 3 is mercy. And the reason is because I started reading a Mary Magdalene book that a dear friend bought for me many months ago for my birthday, I believe. And I picked it up again last night, and it was after making my previous video on shame, and I was just looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I was looking for something. Anyway, I found this chapter in there that was to do with the 5th power, I believe, from Mary Magdalene's Gospel. And the 5th power is all about bondage to the physical. And in this chapter, she shares a story about Kuan Yin, how Kuan Yin came to be. And in this story, basically Kuan Yin shows her father. Well, the story outlines the things that her father has done to her. And each and every time her father does something to her, Kuan Yin, or I think Mao as she's known at the time, might be pronouncing that wrong, I think it's spelled M-I-A-O, before she becomes Kuan Yin, she's forgiving him every time he makes her suffer, her father. She forgives him, and she does this through a whole load of mercy. Like, it gives me chills, actually. But when I was reading it, I was like, how could anyone give mercy like that? That's incredible. but also incredulous. Like, I could hardly believe that someone would do that. And here's the thing, archetypes, we probably won't ever perfect them in this lifetime, but we can aim toward them. We can see that archetypes, so someone like Kuan Yin, for example, goddess of compassion, Dakini of compassion, or Buddha of compassion, I want to say. She is a big bright archetype for us to say, oh, well, that's inspiring. I kind of love you because you're able to be so merciful. So when I read this last night, I thought, I know why I picked up this book. I needed to read this story. I needed to understand that mercy is a divine trait, and we're human. So let's not hold ourselves up to too high of a standard here, because at the end of the day, technically, all of us have the potential inside of us to do what someone else has done. It's kind of hard to accept that, because on one level, we are these, we're only us. Like, we only have experienced our life, and we say, no, I would never do that. I would never hurt someone like that. And it's true, because as who you are now, you wouldn't, you know who you are, right? You kind of have a good idea of what you think is good and what you think is okay and what's not. But I'm talking about universal perspective. Universal perspective shows us that any one of us can do anything at any time. And it's hard to wrap your head around sometimes, but other times it just clicks and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I have to let go of this ego trip that I'm on for a second there. Now, that's not to say that the ego isn't important and doesn't protect you, because it does. But yeah, you, with this understanding of mercy, probably may need to look a little deeper into it. So I would say, meditation with the idea of mercy could be great. I remember doing Akashic sessions one-on-one with people, and one of the places that I used to take people, if it seemed like that's what they needed, was forgiveness. Yes, I'd take them to a place called Fairyland of Forgiveness in a meditation, and we would get the person that they need to forgive to sit down in front of them or call them up and just go through that process. So that's an idea. Don't want to overload you though, so we'll move on to the fourth stage. Acceptance. So, acceptance of the fact that you want to forgive the person, and also that you don't know when it's going to happen, okay? Because if you force yourself to go against your emotions, to go against how you feel, yeah, it's not going to work out. You're going to go straight back to stage one, where you're in denial. Oh, I already forgave that person. Did you though? And we come to stage 4. Okay, if you just accept that you want to go on a journey of forgiveness, that's basically all there is to it. The reason that we want to be careful about not jumping too quickly to this stage, acceptance, that you want to forgive, is that you want to be in touch with your emotional body, which is linked to your thoughts, and your physical body, actually. How does your body feel when you think about this person? But yeah, emotions are key here. And if you feel like, you know what, I haven't had my needs met by this person in some way, and I'm going to honor myself in the facto that if I am going to come to forgiveness, I'm not really doing it for the other person. I'm doing it for myself. So how much of a relationship you want to have with that person is up to you. Again, you have to pay attention to what your needs are. Universally, we all need love, we all need compassion, respect, things like that. So if someone isn't giving you that, you might not be you might want to take your time with this step. You can accept that you want to forgive someone and still not forgive them. You know? So basically what I would say is that acceptance, this fourth stage, may arise for you when you feel like you've gotten over some kind of depression surrounding this person. Now, as we know, we all do this with our emotional body. We come in and out and in and out. It's a flux. So that can mean that we may end up going back to stage 1, stage 2. It's okay. Some days you'll reach stage 4, stage 5. Other days you might go back. Forgiveness is a journey. So go easy on yourself. And eventually acceptance will arise. Can't force it. And the biggest piece, I'll say, because the fifth stage is really simple. Well, the biggest piece I'll say with this fourth step, acceptance, is that you have to accept you, first and foremost. Kuan Yin didn't forgive her father in the story because she felt like he deserved it, although maybe she did feel like that on some level, because we're all divine at the end of the day. We're all God's children, we're all part of this universe, we're all connected, we all deserve love. But again, she did it so that she wasn't in bondage anymore with this person, and that she went so far with her mercy that she gave him her arms and her eyes. I don't know if it's a metaphor that she did that, but in the story she physically gave him those things. And he lived, and she didn't die in the story. She basically became Kuan Yin, who has tons of arms, right? So I guess in the story it's trying to say that if you can get to this space in you of complete compassion and mercy for the people, you are more rewarded than if you stay in anger. Not trying to convince you, but just trying to lay it out the way I've understood it. So, but you must accept yourself and all parts of you first. So what that means is it's easy to accept ourselves when we're in joy, when we're in love, when we're... Not always, but what I mean is, can you accept the parts of you that are maybe a little bit egotistical? Can you accept the parts of you that are a little bit nervous and weird? Can you accept the parts of you that are full of anger and rage? Because if you can accept those parts of you, you can accept, of course, the really good traits you have. And acceptance, it comes with wholeness. So what that means is if you're a friend with someone, you accept all parts of them. You might not want to engage in all things with that person. That's fine. But on some level you accept them for who they are, all parts included. That to me is real companionship. And judgment gets in the way, so it takes acceptance of you first. If you don't accept yourself, you won't accept other people. Definitely not. But they can be mirrors for you to So if you can start to accept other people in their everythingness, it will reflect in you, and vice versa. If you accept yourself fully on the inside, you can start to accept everyone else around you. Acceptance doesn't mean that we accept bad behavior from people, by the way. We may need to take time out, and that's the 5th stage. Forgiveness takes time. So if we are on a journey to forgiveness and the person maybe still isn't treating you right or is triggering you somehow, you can draw back. You don't have to forgive then and there. Although, as I was saying in the beginning, micro moments throughout the day with different people or the same person of forgiveness really add up to a level of kindness that you wouldn't expect. But yeah, acceptance is of you. And when I was saying that we accept other people's rage and things like that, I don't mean towards you. I just mean we are careful not to judge too much. I mean, righteous judgment is a thing, but it's still not needed in the case of acceptance. Acceptance goes beyond it, is what I mean. Just gonna breathe. But yeah, this 5th and final stage, it takes time. So if the way that you know that you're coming to forgiveness with someone, or that you can forgive in a moment, is that it flows naturally. That it feels neutral, easy even. Okay? There's little, as well as the macro forgiveness, there's micro forgivings we can have with people. And it doesn't mean you have to forgive everything. If you can understand everyone's reason for doing anything, you can forgive. So for example, if someone's triggering you and you understand why it triggers you, maybe it's a mirror for you, maybe it's the mirror of you, or the mirror of what you judge. If you understand that, you can forgive it, because you probably may have done that before, or you've found a way to transcend it. So, yeah, timing is all about synchronicity, is all about alignment. So forgiveness will probably wash over you in a deep way when you've really forgiven. But until then, it's a journey. It's a journey of forgiveness. So just remembering that your needs are important. Using meditation to get in touch with what your needs are, I would really recommend. And of course, there's tons of resources out there on forgiveness, and stories like the Kuan Yin story in the Mary Magdalene Revealed book by Megan Watterson. If you want to check that out, that's what inspired this talk today. Well, so let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations or requests for the next video. Obviously, it's going to be in a type of tips, therapy, transformational style. And I am looking at things surrounding trauma at the moment, so any emotions surrounding that. But of course, forgiveness is a kind of a unconditional love aspect, I feel. So it's been nice to share this information with you. So please like and subscribe and comment, and I'll see you next time.